and welcome back to Conversations with Olwen. 21 years ago this year, in August, I sought paediatric level help for my little guy, my eldest son Jake. At that point, he was really struggling with regulation. He was struggling to regulate his physical activity levels, his inattention, his impulsivity. He was really struggling with emotional outbursts. He really, really struggled with dysregulation. I was really fortunate in that I had a fabulous paediatrician that we worked with for over 14 years to help my little guy grow up to be a big guy who could function. One of the most important things that I learnt from our wonderful paediatrician was the importance of play. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there who talk about play, play. It's an important part of the early years, I know, but there are so many different types of play. The type of play I'm going to talk about today is that exercise-based play. And it's based on what our wonderful paediatrician told us all those years ago. I've really kept this to myself. Yes, we share it in clinic, but it's a really, special method for helping children who have neurodevelopmental challenges. And he said to me, I well remember his words, there's this new thing coming in from overseas. They're talking about it all at Harvard. It's called neuroplasticity, and it means that we can literally grow our children's brains. It means we can build more connections. We used to think that children's brains were like a mold. They're set. They can't change. But he told me that with all the latest brain science, and remember this was in 2004, he said with all of the latest advances in brain science, we now know that children's brains can change. And one of the best ways to change your children's brain is to exercise them. Now, I can hear you now, you're going, how does this relate to speech pathology? But often, as speech pathologists, we work with really complex and really challenging little ones who you can't sit at a table with initially, little ones who your first port of call is not just to have them sit. And indeed, in our clinic, we have loads of families who come in and they go, oh my gosh, we were just made to sit elsewhere, or little Billy wasn't allowed to leave the chair, little Billy wasn't allowed to move. Fast forward to 24 years now. Everybody's talking about play, aren't they? Everybody is talking about play. But do people know why play is important? I'm going to show you why it's so important today and how I followed this as a mantra with my boys. So every time we move, every time we run, every time we jump, every time we hop, every time we run, hop, jump, swim, take the stairs, go for a scooter ride, dance, sing and move. Absolutely, anytime we do any form of exercise, we are putting endorphins, if you like, to use a layman's term, we're putting endorphins into our children's brain. But it's what those brain chemicals do that's the really important part. They actually build that internal architecture of our children's brains. So whenever we talk, move, jump, hop, skip, run, bounce, scooter ride, skateboard ride, go to the park, run down to the park, run down the road, choose to walk to the fish and chip shop instead of driving, every single activity that we do physically with our children puts more endorphins into their brain, those neurochemicals which literally build up, as you can see, the internal architecture of our little ones' brains. So children, of course, who do huge amounts of activity, children who do huge amounts of exercise, children who do huge amounts of talk, read, play, as Martha Byrne calls it, as well as heaps of physical play, heavy physical play, which naturally puts those endorphins into their brain, those children are going to have better connected brains. And this is research that I've been following for over 2 decades from America. So just imagine what we're looking at nowadays in these little ones, like Billy, who I talked about before, who aren't getting access to play. They're not getting access to talk. They're not getting access to read. They're not getting access to play, any form of play. This is one of the biggest issues facing our generation of little ones, in that their brains, that internal architecture that Dr. Jack Shonkoff talks about, it's just not being built. And it's something I've followed with all of my 3 boys really heavily. Low screen time, but huge amounts of play. Thank you for listening to Conversations with Olwen. If you know somebody who needs to hear this episode today, please share it with them. Until next time.